Okay, good morning everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
You're not going to the vacation. Many people went to vacation this week holiday, right?
Yeah.
Long holiday. Anyway, it's a good choice to vacation or come to study. It's best choice. But of course, we need some time to relax, go to, but it's good. Anyway, yeah, because the reason is we started this chanting is special, for Tara. Everybody wrote the benefit or chanting the Tara prayers. I think everybody wanted their wishes, right? Therefore, if you want their wishes, then usually we have a Tara Puja every month, once a month, only once a month. It takes maybe 2 hours, maybe 1.5 hours. It's not very complicated. If it's good to join, if you're 10, and who has, unsuccess, everybody has unsuccess, right? Then Tara is very good for success, for our life, our wishes. And usually we are not an unsuccess person because we are not, Buddhism believe, we have not enough the merit. If Buddha say, if you have enough the merit, then whatever you wishes, whatever you want, you can achieve or you can achieve. Therefore, success is one cause. Of course, the conditions are one cause. We have not enough the merit. In the monasteries, they have all the time they did Lord chantings. Therefore, the more merit. Therefore, Taras for special merit, also special for all the obstacles go away. And if anyone unsuccessful, then chant the Tara Puja is good. And also, we have once, Medicine Buddha Puja. Medicine Buddha is also special for power to who has illness. Illness, yeah. Good, I'm not talking illness, And usually we have all illness, or all the negative karma, we say illness. Mm-hmm. But especially now we have some, physical, problem, We have heart problem, health problem, knee problem. I have some problems with my knee. Anyway, so there can't problems. We have special power to, Medicine Buddha. Therefore, very good to join the Medicine Buddha. It takes maybe 1 hour. It's good. Then secondly, we all, I don't know how many years, usually we take a lot of high and tantra initiations. We do a lot of commandments. Then we do twice a month, we do Guru Puja. Then if we do Guru Puja, also for good our commandments. Therefore we have just only 3 pujas once a month. If you're available, it's just very good for us. And one hand big merit, one hand also a lot of benefits for all the beings. Anyway, this was many for the chantings. Then we talk about Buddhism. What's Buddhism? What benefit? Why we study Buddhism? Right? And Buddhism is, Buddha himself, he born in India. Sometimes say India, he sometimes say Nepal, I don't know, Lebanese was India, Nepal. Nepal say India, say India, Nepal, I don't know, anyway, Lebanese. Anyway, he born same as us, same as the little girl. He's born in the same that. Then he got married, he became king. After he became king, then he saw a lot of illness, a lot of orphans. Then he checked if it's valuable, if any way to free from his problems. Then he decided to leave his palace. Then he went to the place to his meditation. Of course, he had been almost wrapping many lives. But the main thing is this life, then he went to place, he meditation 6 years. Then he achieved enlightenment. He got enlightenment. And then full happiness. Not same as us, our happiness. We have little happiness, but very easy to change, right? Full enlightenment. Then he achieved the enlightenment. Then after whatever he has experienced, what he achieved, then he teach for us. Okay, this is our God. This is my experience. If you like, you can try. If you wish happiness, if you unwish sorrows, this is the cause of happiness. This is the cause of the sorrow. Therefore, he will teach. We have 108 volumes. We call Kanjur. He teach all that. He explain that Indian language. Look like this technique, transform or change our mind. That technique or tashi.
Your technique is
right. It's that part of it how we call Buddhism. Then why we need to study Buddhism? Because we unwanted any sufferings. We want happiness. But we don't know how we achieve the happiness. We don't know how we abide, give up the sufferings. Then, and happiness also comes from cause condition, but suffering also comes from cause condition. Then Buddha checks, Buddhism explains very details. What action makes you happiness? What action makes you suffer? Therefore, we need to know one by one details. Then we understand, identified cause of suffering. Suffering now, John, don't do that. Suffering, don't do that. Suffering, cause of suffering.
I don't understand. Join what is he saying?
Avoid?
Avoid, yeah.
Avoid.
Avoid a cause of suffering. Avoid?
Avoid.
Avoid. Machiva.
Yeah, not to do.
Not to.
Yeah,
Machiva.
yeah, not to commit non-virtue.
Yeah. Then try to do the cause of happiness. Try to every daily lives. This is now we have to. We have to know. We have to understand because we right now we think we do all the time right. We do right things, but always have something problems, right? Therefore, we doesn't do right way. Even you use computer, we doesn't use computer right way, always mistake, right? Something that doesn't work. Because it's not the computer's problem, because we click the wrong button. Right? Something they say, don't do that, and we say yes. They specific me. I don't know English then. There's something they say yes or not, I don't know which one, right? I say yes, then go wrong way. Look like that, right? Then we say, what is cause of suffering? It's Buddha said, 10 non-virtuous men. If you do 10 non-virtuous, any actions, they bring you suffering. Then what is cause of the happiness? Is
Not doing the 10 non-virtues.
and loving kindness, we call it patience. Man was patient.
Yeah.
Look at that, many techniques. Then is it right or not? Buddha give for us to Dhamka.
Advice or direction. Dhamka.
Dhamka means choice.
Choice?
Yeah, choice.
Okay.
Check to the choice. It's true or not. You can check. We said, first we know to identify 10 non-virtues. And then we said, Buddha said, oh, you do that any 10 non-virtues, they bring you cause and the suffering. Then we check. Yeah, if every single we check, yeah, if I do that, they bring me suffering or not. Then it's not then Buddha's fair. It's okay, Buddha doesn't know. Doesn't work. You can check one by one. You can investigation. But this is true. For example, he said 10 non-virtues. We have
The 3 non-virtues of body.
Right? He said Sokcheba is killing. Right? If we kill someone, we harm their life, right? Now we check, is bring the suffering or not? It's same, any beings have, they're very important in their life, same as us. Someone kill us, then it's very bad, very terrible happen. The same as all the others. This. The same 바로 비, start solving the victim, 속죄 버리스. Cause for the other's life. Also, you make negative karma for your life. Then we believe next 500 lives you have to also die and accept that.
So he said taking the life of another sentient being accrues this karma there.
Yeah. Then 대양 썸시도 속죄 맞으셨다. 남주 나도 샘시 뭐 세요. 뭐라 땅으로 고마자기로 샘시 뭐 세요. 되나 썸시.
So, samchita is the intention?
Yeah, intention, right?
Yeah.
Because I need to kill this. Because I need to use or something, they doesn't like me or something. Sometimes we don't see that we kill our beings, but not that kind.
Right, so he's making a distinction between killing when you're walking or driving a vehicle, for example, you might kill a lot of insects or small creatures. But the difference between the killing, which is the clear non-virtue, and the type of killing which happens while doing these other activities is there is no intention when you do the other one. So you have to actually think, I don't like this person, what they did, or for some reason I want to harm them to do this killing.
Yeah, look, some animals, fishes, we say, I need to eat this fish. I need to eat this, or meat or something. This kind of motivation we kill, this was more heavy. Usually we don't eat what's that? How you call it?
Crush some insect or worms.
Yeah, no. It's all one family. Then because they cost, they move anyway they move powders, right? Then switch about Majibalanga, Tibetan called Majibalanga is stealing. Right? If you go to steal, then big towel, right? You harm the others of world.
Well, taking what isn't given, but stealing, yeah.
Yes,
and then you are harming things valued by others, or just taking others' valuables, I guess.
This for you harm others. For us, if not good, you have to go jail. Right? If they know, if they fight. Anyway, there's also harm for our and others. Then Majibalema, of course. Then
Majimbalanga was the stealing.
Yeah, then Loyam.
Loyam.
how is it?
Sexual misconduct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sexual misconduct.
Did everyone hear? Yeah. Sexual misconduct.
Yeah, this is also the harms for our relationship. You know, they harm others' body, they also they harm our relationship. Therefore, they will also problems. You know, the lawyers not go to lawyer. Lawyer, so like that. Changing the you mission, but I'm gonna think so the water.
So, for example, an example of sexual misconduct is being in a relationship with one person and then going with someone else, right? Is this what you said?
Adultery.
Yeah, adultery, essentially, which causes harm to the relationship with the person that you are in the relationship with. It harms the other person too.
Okay, look like that. This is, you know, just first 3 ones, and we are not going to other ones. Anyway, if you do any, the 3, the harms us and others, right? Therefore, don't do that. Then you can check it's true or not. Okay? Then you can explain later slowly. Today also I have to go some other center to have some Buddhism ceremony. They have to read a little bit. Maybe 11:30 we have to finish. And you know, they advise for me, then I have to go. Otherwise they show us unrespect. Okay? Then we can go to the study our text.
Does anyone know the English page?
Page number is Achieve or Preferred, what is it?
Perfect number?
Yeah, Preferred. What page number?
Do you know what the heading number? The heading?
I don't know.
102.
Yeah, that's the best way.
Oh, good. Good.
270.
Right.
Yeah.
We got 10 little chitans here,
Yeah.
right? And everybody found the test. If you have test, what test number? You are the which book? Who has blue book? Who has yellow book?
109,
Some has 109.
But the page number?
the heading.
Yeah, but there's another colored book, like a brown book. Does anyone have the page number for that one? I think the page numbers vary.
It's 311 for heading 109.
Right.
Is it 109?
102.
102 or 109? 102. Okay, 102 is 307. Page 307 if you have a yellow brown color.
Page 270 in the blue book.
And what's the other one?
This is
That's a prayer.
502.
That's a prayer book.
No, they don't have.
That's a different book.
It's okay, you give it there, okay?
All this.
Oh, you can listen, yes. Okay. And this is a tani batelo chotare version, base subject. And Dabangi Loma Chitare version, Mashatana Lam-rim Mango, Tambo, 4th letter, 4 main subject.
Yeah, in the beginning of the lam-rim. Yeah.
Then the last day, Lamchitawa, Shinite Chotang, then the Lochitare version, but Nivres.
So this is the final of the 4 major headings of the lam-rim,
Yeah.
which is how to lead the student in particular, right?
Lamchitawa, Shinite Chotang. Dabangi Loma Chitare, yes. Dabangi Loma Chitare, first one.
Aniva, do you know?
The sequence in which the disciples are to be taught the actual instructions, is that the one? The last one?
Yeah, last one. The 4.
Among the 4, the last is the sequence in which the disciples are to be taught the actual instructions.
Okay.
Okay? Do they have 2? Lamchitawa, Shinite Chotang, then the Lochitare,
And then there are 2, the root of the path, devotion to a spiritual
Should use
life.
it.
Oh, she doesn't know.
She and I together can.
So among, if the 4th heading is divided, there will be 2. The first is root of the path, devotion to a spiritual life. Is that the one?
Yeah, Lamchitawa, Shinite.
Yeah.
And then the second one after that
Then the
is the
Lochitare.
proper graduated training you should undertake after you have begun to rely on your spiritual life.
Right. So that's number 102, where we are now.
Correct? Therefore, we first want all gone, we refinish. 람지도 신이 때문에 술가도 람사해봐. 신이 돼서 차상 갖다 먹고 나오고 치다니 신이 돼서.
So the first of the 4 has already been completed. The up to the gradual method in which what was the name of it? The exact graduated method in which the student is trained. And now we're moving to this one, the proper training you should undertake after having begun to rely on your spiritual guide.
Okay. This is not any logic tangible, but this is not the correction other one, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have very good guru devotion. Then after what do you do?
Alright. That's very clear.
After you
After you've kind of purified your mind.
right? All that. 니 바텐 로치 들으면 니 다텐 니레스 다미테나 님보리비 슈르 콜바스 님보 제타리 비스르스.
So there are 2 subheadings, the stimulus to take the essence from your optimum human rebirth and how to extract that essence.
다 다미테나 님보리비 콜바르나 다 그러 콜바르나 하세 콜바르나 다
The stimulus, I guess, they translate as...
일와스
I think they translate as stimulus here.
Yeah.
Kurukulla. It means to like rouse or cause to do something.
다들 스신이도 와서 아니 다 담보라 아니 다윗 때는 님벌이죠. 그거 다윗 때는 다 단단 말아서 미 단단 말아서 이거들 다윗 때라고 그래서.
So then there are 2 under this heading. The stimulus comes from thinking about the great benefit of the optimum human rebirth and how difficult it is to acquire. There are 2 subheadings here. Then
Maybe we can read. Usually we read until the second one.
until the second one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second one. I have the second one. Everybody read together. They use for our interns.
Right. So the 2 headings were a short discussion to convince you and a brief teaching on how to pursue that practice.
Yeah.
Then you want us to read the first one together.
Oh yeah, me too. I have the second page.
Okay, yeah. So we'll...
조왕 다와지 사진 조주로
Okay.
I have the second page. 이건 랑조도 신조가
Ziba. Yeah.
이거 이봐 이거다. But maybe I can stop you. Everybody read together with checks.
Alright, you guys ready? So the last 2 headings form a scheme that applies to all the meditation topics that follow. This is the traditional way to combine the formal discourse material with material from informal discourses. You should substitute each meditation topic, such as the one I shall now discuss under the above headings, for the heading on how to pursue the main part of the meditation session. You must do what I explained in the section on devotion to your spiritual guide. Join that meditation topic to the end of the preparatory rites, and then follow it by the last part of the session, and so on. We find nothing wrong in our mouths being open all the time, indulging in idle gossip. That's because we don't think about the great benefits and the rarity of the optimum human rebirth. Thinking about these things should be a strong stimulus for us to practice Dharma. When you think about the great benefits and the rarity of optimum human rebirth, you will feel involuntarily happy. And when you think about death and impermanence, you will feel involuntarily sad. There are 3 headings here. Identifying the optimum human rebirth, thinking about its great benefits, thinking about how difficult it is to acquire. Then, yes, this has 2 parts, the freedoms and the endowments. Did you want us to read the...
Yeah, call them.
Okay. So then we'll continue reading these. You must identify the optimum human rebirth before you can want to extract the essence from it. Your heartstone may be made of gold, but if you don't know it, you will still be a pauper. So you must also from the beginning identify the freedoms. That is, being free of the 8 states unfavorable for Dharma practice. These 8 unfavorable states are mentioned in Nagarjuna's letter to a friend. Upholding wrong views, being an animal, a hungry ghost, or born in hell. Being without a victorious teaching, being born in a remote place as a barbarian, as an idiot or mute, or as a long-lived god. Any of these rebirths is one of the 8 faulty unfavorable states. Because you have gained the favorable state free of these, strive to block your future rebirths. There are 4 unfavorable states as non-human creatures and 4 as human beings. The 4 unfavorable non-human states are as follows. The hells are unfavorable for Dharma practice because of the intense suffering of heat and cold there. If someone put a glowing ember on your head and ordered you to meditate at the same time, the pain would prevent you from even beginning to meditate. If we were now born in hell, we would feel 100,000 times more suffering than a live rat placed in a red-hot iron frying pan. So far as practicing the Dharma or even hearing one word of the Dharma, our minds would only be filled with suffering, and all we would do is stay there and be without Dharma. We should feel lucky not to have been born there. A rebirth as a hungry ghost is unfavorable for Dharma practice because of the great hunger and thirst. When we are extremely hungry and thirsty, and our guru, for instance, urges us to practice Dharma, instead we only yearn for food and drink first. This rebirth is therefore also unfavorable for the practice of Dharma. How lucky we are not to be born as hungry ghosts. A rebirth as an animal is unfavorable for Dharma practice because of animal stupidity and benighted ignorance. For example, if someone told a dog, donkey, or whatever, recite Om Mani Padme Hum once and you will then be enlightened, they wouldn't understand at all. And if they don't know how to recite even a syllable of Om Mani Padme Hum, how could they understand any other Dharma? So animals only experience their particular form of suffering, and this is unfavorable for Dharma practice. How extremely lucky we are not to have been born as one. At present, whenever we say how lucky, we are referring to some money we might have made, but this is not really being lucky at all. When we look at animals such as dogs and donkeys, we should not treat them as objects of curiosity. We should feel, how lucky I am not to be like that. The long-lived gods are as follows. Being born in the form and formless realms is one of the greatest karmic results you could have. Yet when the gods are born in these realms, they feel, I have been reborn a god. And when they finally leave that rebirth, they feel, I am dying and am leaving this rebirth as a god. The rest of the time they are engrossed in such single-pointed concentration that it is like being asleep. They waste their whole rebirth in this utterly meaningless way. As the Sangha Shravaka levels tell us, the gods in the other celestial realms may have some great instincts for virtue, but except for a few of them, they normally spend the whole time engrossed in pleasure, and so will receive no Dharma. The king of doctors, Kumarajivaka, when he was still a human being, was a disciple of Shariputra. Whenever Jivaka was out riding an elephant and happened to see Shariputra, without a moment's hesitation he would jump off his elephant. Later, Jivaka was reborn in the god realms, and Shariputra went there to teach him Dharma. But Jivaka was so engrossed in celestial pleasure that he merely raised a finger in recognition, and then returned to his amusement, giving Shariputra no chance of teaching him Dharma. This is how it is that gods have absolutely no thought of practicing Dharma or renunciation. They only have celestial drums, magic birds, etc. that speak to them about the Dharma. They do not have gurus like ours to give them detailed instructions. The 4 unfavorable human states are as following. If you are born in a remote, that is, barbarian region, you will not hear a word of the Dharma. If you are born in a place where the Buddha has not come, you will not know how to practice Dharma, or even if you do practice it, you will not do so properly. What would we do if we were born in these ways? Think how lucky we are not to be like that. Even if you are born in a central, that is, Buddhist place, if you are born an idiot with defective or unclear mind, or a mute with defective speech, you will either not understand the real purpose behind the Dharma, or only go through the motions and not practice properly. Being a person with wrong views is the greatest hindrance to taking up the Dharma. That is why Nagarjuna's letter mentions this first. It is most unfortunate if you are born like today's Muslims, for example, because you will never acquire so much as the root virtue of reciting Om Mani Padme Hum once, even if you live for the long one. If there were 8 difficult but trivial things to achieve, and if we achieved them all, we would be inclined to say, what good fortune! With something so much more important, are we not that much more fortunate still to have assembled these 8 things so difficult to assemble?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. 다른 아무튼 다까지 그냥 주라와 사실이 단조 대체 얘기꾼이 딱 벌써 단조에서 된다 친구에 막 얘기하고 걸어서 나온 거예요. 아무튼
So then the first one is a short discussion to convince you. So that's something just to give some thought to motivate yourself.
다 대란 해가지고 이제 주에서 쪼대 주 저거 좀 대라야 뭘 그래서
Motivation.
모르겠어 쪼가 저러나 락 interest
Oh,
그리고
yeah.
내가 지금 이제 주에서 쪼다 저거지 봐 마스
Okay, so the first one, the short discussion to convince you is to rouse your interest in the topics coming below,
근데 들으셔도 야
and to increase it also.
근데 야 들이 좀 도지리 때 맞나 small 미미지
So this one is just by short it means abbreviated, so it's kind of like everything below, but in a very abbreviated way, just so it's a very short. It says short.
Yeah.
So
근데 사실 전에 공모가 이거 탐천의 세당 아니 시티다 그냥 취소 딴데 좀 하고 요래 시티다 시티라나 내가 그런 명클이나 뭐지 시티라나 레시자와 명클이나 엑스페리언 또 시에서 하고 이랬어.
right. So then he cites from Nagarjuna's friendly letter or letter to a friend, and then he uses that to expand the explanation of this topic to a much greater extent.
네 삼지 사실 송소라 미크로미지 제가 나 지금 단 네가 가려고 가는 사실 말로 시어 그랬어. 그거 아니 또 신년 때서 당 가래 다준이가 가만 말 전에도 그랬어. 말인 보이도 사실 집발했어. 저 아고 보이던도
Subject.
사실은
Subject.
헤딩
Yeah, but subject. Sumyeon she.
예수 말 시어 그랬어. 시대 신년 때서 당은 집발자고 그랬어. 신년 때서 당 집발 신년 때서 주보 말고 장난을 자고 말아 감각 삼고 그랬어. 어제
Anyway, he's saying that there are 4 distinct headings here. But
But this is not only good devotion place. They have to all the terms.
I see. Right.
Yeah.
So I think maybe is it Anila? Is it correct what he's saying that the heading here comes under the Guru devotion section, but it applies for all parts of the practice? Is that what he's saying?
No, I think it's a paragraph where it says you should substitute each meditation topic,
Yeah.
such as one actually under. So this is the 4th heading, but then you still have to contemplate all the previous headings
Yeah.
as well.
I
And how
see,
there
I
are
see.
4 total, and now we've landed on the 4th heading here. But then whatever has been discussed prior to this part, you still have to contemplate on. It's that
I see. I
paragraph.
see.
그래서 다 대신 가나 공부 고단 마스. 그때는 영어저 공부 고단 거랬어. something 그랬어. 공부 고단나나 you have to contemplate. Don't think about every order. Go all the.
Yeah. Don't be distracted.
Don't go all the war.
Yeah.
Your mind.
Yeah.
You don't practice anytime. Don't go your mind. Go all the wars. You practice time or
Yeah. During the meditation session
meditation
and after the meditation session.
This is for such a shit as well. 너무 오므고다 말아 그래서 오므고다 봐. 아나 contemplate your mind.
Right.
It's
So.
first one.
So that's the first of the 4.
For areas. Such a shit.
Yeah. So the first of he's saying that.
다른 디파이트를 문제서 있나 대리스니 봐. I explain not here.
Yeah. But previously.
Yeah, previous okay.
Yeah.
오므고다 mas is really important. Second one 아니 드리 오므야고 용도 시즌 동안 시즌으로 시즌 나마 시즌 다음에 그 따로 가르치는 것도 따로 했어.
So the first one, the Wumbu
고담바
Gotama, what is that? Wumbu Gotama.
means 오므고담 means contemplate your mind, keep your mind inside. Keep your mind inside,
Okay.
not go all the way.
All right.
So be mindful.
Yeah.
Contain your mind, keep your mind in, not go all the way.
So I think that he's reiterating the 4 headings which were somewhere in here.
Not here.
Yeah, they're previous ones, but there are 4 headings how to use these meditation topics when you do meditation. So the first one is like he's saying, contain your mind. The second one is Sheshin, so introspection or mindful introspection, I guess. So that's like keeping an eye on, once you started the meditation, keeping an eye on your mind inside to make sure it doesn't wander.
Okay, you check our mind. Then third one, seji teriba, say. Enough to eat, understand to eat.
See, yeah,
So
so,
this is also very important. You have to understand how you eat, how much you eat. Usually we eat too much, we fall asleep, right? Therefore they say, you have to eat enough to, today we eat dinner, and tomorrow lunch we have to eat enough. Sometimes we eat too much, we have to say, oh, I eat too much, when especially we kids eat a lot, right? After eat, I say, I'm, what's that?
Stomach.
Because I eat too much, Therefore they say, this is the reason they say, you eat too much, you fall asleep. If you don't have enough, then you fall also illness. Therefore, 30 bus
so
is the third one.
right, so the food has to be the appropriate amount,
Yeah.
just enough. Is this from the shamatha section? Sounds like.
This is some
Shinega.
Shinega. Yeah, this is
Okay.
this we need all the time.
Okay, so these, let's see, what it says.
Maybe they're not, yeah. They don't, they just have, they say just only 4, they don't have that.
I see, okay. So he just refers to them here, but he doesn't explain them. Anyway, these come from, if we look in the lam-rim Chenmo, in the section on shamatha meditation, like serenity or calm abiding meditation, these 4 are like there, explained there in great detail. So these are the conditions conducive to a stable meditation.
Understand, right? The last one is, the fourth one is Namji Chatela Minyawa, Nanjola Chulbas.
Namji Kyab.
Yeah, Nam is night time. You can divide 3 times.
Ah,
night.
yeah.
First,
Yeah.
second, third.
Yeah,
Then don't sleep, first one, don't sleep, third one.
yeah.
It makes
This is meditating during the first and the first and the last. I forget what they call it. The first and the last sessions of the night. So at night, I think it's like the first session of the night is around like 10 p.m. or something, and then the last session is like 4 a.m. So meditating at both of those times and sleeping in between those two, I think I don't remember how they call it. What do they call it? The first, the watches, I think. The first and the last watches of the night. Anyway.
Therefore, anyway, this is more important. Don't sleep, lose how much you want to sleep.
Don't oversleep.
Don't sleep, maybe try to evening meditation, then you can sleep. The morning early, your mind is more clean, more quiet. Therefore, a little bit early get up, then you practice. This is the reason to, Buddha's teaching. Holiness get up 3 o'clock. The reason is also we are here not telling about it. In the morning, his mind is more clean, more quiet. He can do more, things to do. Also follow all the direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
We not observe. We sleep very late, get up very late, right? Are you guys night person or day person? Usually the young kids are also night person, right? They night time, they sleep very late. This is a real practice anyway. You divide night time, 3 times, 3s.
Mm-hmm.
You can meditation first and third. Then between one you can sleep. Namji chat, manyawa, namji chat, beginning,
Yeah.
mid, this is the last one. Manyawa,
Yeah.
Nanjola Chelbas, Nanjo is meditation.
Yeah. So don't sleep in the first and the last watch of the night, but practice meditation then. So this is not only appropriate for the section on shamatha meditation, but for all of the meditation throughout the entire lam.
Not only Guru devotion.
Not only guru devotion, but throughout the entire lam. Where is that?
So you must do what I explained, the section on devotion to your spiritual guru.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Then, ta rangare nyantara kajam, ta nima kaduna, nima niga, kesha cheya pa lo chulo kalasanga chuzo zolo ores, namazo haku mares olden dos.
So then we find nothing wrong with our mouths being open all the time. This means like, we pass through our entire days with conversation, gossip, just kind of like whiling away the time with talking about nothing of consequence. The desert.
You don't think about it.
Right? So as a consequence of, kind of frittering away our time like that, we don't think at all about he says here, the rarity of optimum human rebirth, and Geshe is glossing that by the freedoms and endowments, I think they're called. Yeah, freedoms and endowments. So, yeah, so then if we contemplate those things, the optimum human rebirth and the freedom and endowments, then we can take the essence of the life, right?
If you think about the first human rebirth, in mind, achieve this human rebirth, you feel very happy. Then you dead impermanent, you sound noise.
Yeah. So the second one down there below, if you think of the optimum human rebirth, you will feel involuntarily happy, and when you think of death and impermanence, you will feel involuntarily sad.
Why we more happy? Because we achieve very perfect, very special one. Therefore, we will happy.
Everyone understood.
Correct. Correct.
Why would we be very happy? Because we can see that we've achieved a very special state of existence.
Yeah, that we don't think right. We said, I'm very happy because I'm a person. You guys think? You don't think. Yes, I'm born person. Think anybody same, right? We don't have this feeling, right? Because we don't think this. Why is it very important for me?
Why this human rebirth is important?
Because why? Because we do everything this life. This life also, okay. This body also, maybe.
You can say this life, yeah, this one.
Anyway, for example, we want to just making things physically or just, breathing. We saw people very special technology. Technology, human beings, right? They not come from themselves. They're not existed inherently.
Yeah. They're not magically there.
They're magically. First people, right? We say computer, Google, very special. What's that? Very special, right?
Special.
Special. Very handsome.
Surprising.
Yeah.
Right? We said Google is very good, very you can find it. But first we put everything we put there, right? All the technology, phones, then computer, networks, first people put, right? Just little bomb destroy all the world. Human being, right? The elephant go to sky. Human being. These things, whatever we have something, first human being, not animals, not cows, not elephants. Elephants very powerful, very big now. They are not able to do this. Human being, right? This is some other part. Now we say enlightenment, Buddhahood. This human being, right? This human being, we have ability to make. Otherwise, we born cow, elephant, tiger. They are not able to do that. Therefore, we think about that time. It's very special. Special.
Yeah.
Therefore, in the Ganwang,
Yeah. So then we have, if we think about that, we are involuntarily happy.
Right. But it's not too long, right? It may be 100 years. 100 years is not that long. The younger was 40, not 30, 70s. Therefore, we said, they didn't permanently reduce that. Therefore, we have not much time. Do effort now. Buddha said, do practice when? Do it now. Don't live tomorrow. People say, first we say, anyway, the younger one doesn't remember the Buddhism guy, 20 years we said, we don't think. Then after 20 years we say, oh, do later. Then 40 years. Then 40 years, then say, oh, for me, my life's terrible, I didn't do anything. After 20 years, then 60. Then time to go, other life.
Does everyone understand? I've heard this
Yeah,
saying before.
Yeah, this is the teaching experience.
You spend 20 years thinking I'll do it later,
Oh yeah.
and then 20 years thinking like I don't have time. Then 20 years thinking, oh, my life is pretty much gone now, and I'm too old to do this. And then after that, it's time to die already. So
Therefore, this is not too long, it's short. Therefore, the send the 2 months or you go this.
yeah. So then if you think about although this life is wonderful and you can't help but be happy when you think about the great, wonderful state that we're in as human beings. If you think about the duration of it, it's very short. So then you also can't help but feel sad. Right? It can end so quickly.
Redan chiwa 단주 니까단 chiwa 못하고나 양 삼무야고 따나. 아니 나도 깡인 쳐봐야 돼. 나도 샘
강의.
really difficult. But we're not too low.
Right. So if you think about death and impermanence, of course you can't help but feel a bit sad because you know that you have to leave this life. But
강의 too difficult.
Difficulties.
Difficult things, When we sick, we have difficulties. We say, "Oh, I'm going to die." Be very sad, right?
Yeah.
But you really think about death and impermanence, and we call nothing to sad.
Yeah.
If you said or not, we have to go.
Right.
Well, doesn't fix. Then when the time's coming, therefore, nothing to sad. But if you said that, you have to do before die, do some benefit. This body.
I think what he's saying is that if you're dying and you think about death and impermanence, then it's not really of any benefit to feel sad about the fact that you will die. But if you think about it before you die, like now, we think eventually I have to die, it can motivate you to do some practice. Is that right?
Used to this.
Yeah, it's useful. A person can use this type of reflection to actually motivate themselves.
This body
It has a great meaning.
meaning.
Yeah, very meaningful.
Difficult to achieve.
Difficult to achieve.
Yeah,
Difficult to achieve, right?
great meaning and hard to achieve, and hard to attain.
근데 잘라도 개침을 하거나 아니 남수로 풀었다는 거 말이지.
So if we understand the benefits of this body, how important it is, then we don't waste our time.
Are you guys to waste time? We don't waste time, right? Everybody very busy. Because time is very important. We keep doing many things to time, right? No time we don't do anything. Therefore we don't, nobody waste any time. Everybody very busy. Therefore this human ribbon is very important. We understand that we don't waste this human ribbon. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then not there so many tanjung musu must then what is dangerous,
Right. So then the freedoms and endowments are the next part.
tanjung musu must what and they don't not chimbo mas.
So this is to identify the human rebirth, which are of Dunda Chempo, right? They have very of great meaning, very meaningful.
And they near kawa mas. Near kawa.
Very difficult to attain, difficult to find.
다 동보라 달바서 해달라 달반 조가 different.
Yeah, right.
다 동보라 다와든 조가 니.
Right. So usually in Tibetan they have a contraction, daljor, which means like both freedom and endowments. But he's saying then in this, the way that they explain it, they divide. The freedoms are one thing and the endowments are another.
다 동보 단줄 동보 다와 니비 가로 동보 다위 때는 니몰 내가 넣어봐라 단줄 무슨 동보라 근데 달와 단줄에는 더는 맞아 미리들 나거든요. 맞아 미리. 대 된다 친구 이봐 자 그래. 니몰 내가는 다 야고 쉬어봐라. 대 된다 친구 하고 그래서 미리 된다 친구 하고 그래서.
So first we must identify the optimum human rebirth, which means we have to actually know that this is a good human life, the benefits, the importance of this human life. And if we don't know that, I guess he hasn't said that part yet. Anyway.
To extract the essence.
Yeah, you have to extract the essence. In order to be able to extract the essence, you have to already know that you have something of benefit there.
람소성이 냠내치고 그랬어. 람소성.
lamsosam, yeah.
냠내치는 이거야 그랬어.
Right, so extracting the essence, for example, we can say that the three principal aspects of the path is a means of extracting the essence from this life.
어디. 근데 영화는 아니 다 되게 담겨도 무슨 거 하고 그랬어. 무슨 빼나래와 탑돌이나 뒤로 탑도 하고 이제 말아. 먼저 배라야 높아서 도성ኛ도 도서 도 three stones player put out of the some part they will cheat but find here you got it. Then there's if you don't know this is a goal you will poor person this is an example okay.
Yeah.
The part stones is gold that you don't know you will poor person but you use it as gold the stone you use the stone that you don't know then you all the time poor because you have to really want it you don't know how to use it. Correct?
Yeah,
Yes,
you don't know what it is.
The text says correct.
Right. So that's the sentence, your hearthstones may be made of gold, but if you don't know it, you'll still be a pauper.
근데 이마 뒷배에서 된다? 만주 밀리는데 개천모에 하 먹었나? 아니면 졸라도 그랬어.
Right. So if the point of this analogy here is that if we don't know that our human rebirth is, incredibly meaningful or important, we're likely to waste all of our time, to waste it.
어떻게 이마다 온보선이 내가 실시 도망에서 막 때리다 땅만 대고를 놓아서 가지 마좀 나와서 딱 무슨 하고 그랬어. 된다 친구 만주 밀리는데 야 보이봐. 된다 친구 하고 그랬어.
So first we need to be able to have the view that sees the value or the meaningfulness of this human rebirth.
그러다 내 용화라야 발치에서 딱 끼는 거를 묶음바.
Mikomba.
묶음바 제다 잘 나오지 토비 그랬어.
So the first, in order to get to that point, we have to understand the 8 unfavorable states they call here.
나도 도저 강간데 free-less. We are free from the.
Yeah, we have to understand that we're free from those.
던도 찍다 free-맨나 나도 취시해 주세요 말했어.
Chikdam free.
찍다 free-맨나 we are not trying to.
If we're not free from even one single one of those 8, then we will not be able to practice. We will not have the opportunity to practice that.
Right?
Did everyone hear?
You got it?
Yeah.
I think maybe we add one here. Maybe it's a 9. We have not much time, right? Okay. 다들 애들 아니 공부를 저기 다 시에지 나서 막 들어오셔서.
So then we have, following that, the quotation from Nagarjuna's letter to a friend.
너 이거 야 이거 안 쓰는 이거 따와 듣는 거가 지금 내가 제일 나야 다 미국고 맞제다 뭐 많이 먹고 맞제스 뭐 많이 먹고 맞제다 미국고 맞제스.
Okay, so then among these we have Mikomba Gi. I think Mikomba Shi. Alright, so then among these 8 that Nagarjuna lists, 4 of them are unfavorable circumstances for non-human creatures, and 4 are unfavorable circumstances for humans.
These unfavorable states are in reference to the Dharma, practicing of the Dharma, not in reference to our regular work or conventional activities.
Did everyone hear?
너도 다 담으셨는데 왔어. 냐와. 가시가도 냐와 깨워놨어. 냐와 깨워는 사랑이 동아. 신보에 와서 주시에 동 말해 주시고 공 말했어.
Right. So then the first is being born in the hell, and if we're born in hells, the suffering and pain there is so intense that there's no possible way that you will know the Dharma.
아니 이거를 미션을 가지 다 대마까지. 다 그냥 동아서 동아 짱짱에다 주시에 다 주소에 말했어 봐.
Because of the suffering,
time to.
right? Because of the suffering and pain, there isn't time to devote to meditation. So before you are born in hell,
No.
or while you are not born in hell.
Right now, we
Yes.
think about it. We are not born to hell realm. This is
Oh, yeah.
fortunate.
Unlucky.
Unlucky. Right?
Yeah.
야. 근데 야와라 동화가 깨면서 추지자 찌투 말했어.
Chukidra, chukidra.
They're not
So not
any
even
sounds.
not even the sound during. If you are born in hell during the sufferings of hell, you will not even hear the sound or the word dharma.
뭐같으니까 야와서 다 얘다. 다 얘다가 깨나야. 근데 나도 야와 끼워 말하다. 나도 야와 끼우면 좋았어. We are not born hell realm, right?
Right.
Therefore, we free from that one.
Right.
Right?
So
second one, 얘다. 얘다가 깨나 쥐꿈이 동화. 야와라 자르는 동화로 사오도 장오 동화. 아니 얘다가 쥐어도 꿈이 동화.
So in the hell realms, you suffer mainly from heat and cold, and we're lucky that we're not born in the hell realm. The second one that we're lucky not to be born in is among the hungry ghosts, and their suffering is mainly in the form of hunger and thirst.
배나 얘다 배는 냐도 좀 주다다 치마 냐도 좀 쭉쭉쭉다 주다다 다 한글 고문에 말이나 칼라도 유효로 이러니 그 food. 냐.
Yeah, fish.
Fish.
Yeah.
Fish is not real the hungry god, but similar, right? They always run into food. They run into food. 그래서 같이 칼람 얘다가 깨나 치와도 꿈이 등화 맛이 주시야 주세요. 그래서
So a hungry ghost, because of the intense suffering of hunger and thirst, they don't have even a moment to think about dharma.
right?
And then he was saying like the hungry ghost is similar to a fish, which I guess he's meaning like when you put the fish food, then the fish just runs to the food. Is that what
It's not that usually the fish all the time.
They're always swimming
Always
around.
swimming
Looks
Yeah.
like they're always looking for food or something.
They're always looking for it. I don't know.
Okay.
Then here they say, example, when we are hungry, we are thirsty, that some teachers say, okay, come to, let the teacher, they are not available. First go to get some water, some food, right? Anybody?
Coffee.
Coffee. Right? This is a hungry ghost, the worst that. Worst that.
Yeah.
They do much,
Yeah.
you know. And you know, we are not born the hungry ghost. We say we are very lucky.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're very lucky to be free from being born as a hungry ghost.
근데 깨와 될 때나 주시오 주세요 말했어.
So if we are born in there as a hungry ghost, then we don't have the condition at all to practice the dharma.
This is the second one. The third one is to know. If we born animals, animal means dogs, cows, birds. We call them all animal. If we born that kind of animal, we are not available to practice the dharma because we don't. If they are not running into, they are not problem. If they are problem, but they are not same problem to a hungry go to food and
The heat and
but
cold.
they don't understand. Even we teach to one dog, you can sell one woman pemo, you cheap in animal right now. But he don't, maybe they said that he doesn't know the meaning. No, maybe we don't know also meaning woman pemo. We think we are very bad because the dog doesn't know that. We don't know anything. Yeah, this is our kid. We don't know that. Therefore, we say we are not born to any of the animals. We are very lucky. Some of this.
Yeah, we should reflect on that.
Usually, in this country, the dogs, cats, very lucky. The parents, the owners very take care of them. But some part they are not freedom, right? You guys believe? The dogs, cats, they are not allowed to wherever they want to go. We have control of them, right? Of course, they wild animals, other animals, they are not suffering. Then we can think about it. We say, if I am born there, little ulcers, in some animals, we're not just watching them. We say, how about if I born that, how suffering? Suffering from maybe someone killed, we can check that they're outside the birds. They always eat a little bit, watch, eat a little bit, watch. They think about maybe someone will come to kill. They will be scared. They're not scared, right? You know that, we think about it, if, here text also said, temo matawa. Not in a kena kane some goes.
Yeah. So he's saying, like, in the part below where it says at present, whenever we say how lucky, we are referring to some money we might have made, but it's not being lucky at all. When we look at animals such as dogs and donkeys, we should not treat them as objects of curiosity. We should feel how lucky I am not to be like that. So aside from just looking at them from the outside and observing like how their lives are, really try to imagine what it would be like to be the bird, for example, who whenever they come to eat a small piece of food, they also always looking around, expecting any object that moves to be something that's about to kill them. So, really imagine in your mind what it would be like to be those animals. So the elephant, for example, is incredibly strong and powerful. Yet we have some technique as human beings to be able to capture the elephant. Capture.
You cannot catch the elephant.
If it was just purely based on our power, we wouldn't
Yeah.
be able to catch
Right.
the elephant compared to the strength of the elephant compared to our own strength.
Yeah.
Usually we think we are very powerful, right? And let's get to bed bugs and mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes. Yeah.
Mosquitoes and bed bugs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, now.
They have the ability to kill us. We think we are very strong, but anyway, what call it? But we are very not touchy mobile.
Yeah, so we have a lot of techniques at our disposal or whatever, but still we have suffering on the account of those insects or whatever.
대리자 나도 들어맞게 와야자 나도 대리가도 딱 프리데 콤바레스 주시 콤바레스 들어지나 주시 도 말레스.
So if you are born as an animal, you are not free from those, I forget what they call them, from those unfavorable conditions. So you don't have the opportunity to practice Dharma.
오케이, 됐지. 다들이 지대에 라데리 보다지. 간제 다 주다 주면에 라데리 그래서 그래서 깨와는 맛이 빨래 다 이거에 아마도 그 주시야 주시가 주시도 말해서.
So then next we have the gods which are born in the form and the formless realm, who from the moment of their birth until the moment of their death are as if in a sleeping state, as if asleep. So because of that, they don't have the conditions to practice the Dharma.
아니 사카제나 아니 코라소 레이 데발라 롤레 아니 주시를 말해요.
So some of the gods have the ability to sport and play with great bliss and all of these things, but they don't think of the Dharma at all.
아니 샤리픽을 보마시. 아니 미여를 그런 아니 람보시를 가려나 샤리픽 도나 마점지 샤리픽을 지내서. 아니 주마고 하이라케니 아니 샤리픽을 딱 주시야 되는 코치. 내놓치는 거 말이야.
Alright, so he's just summarizing the story about Shariputra and Kumarajivaka, where when Kumarajivaka was alive, whenever he saw Shariputra, he would leap down from his elephant and make prostration to him and show great respect. But then after he was born in the God realm, when Shariputra went there, he hardly recognized him and didn't show any, real respect to him. Yeah, he is not capable to understand the Dharma.
Okay. 다른 데가 다들 대상이 있어. 아니 주로 양주 근데 양양 주로나 뜻만 하고 그래.
Right, so we're going to stop here, but you should read below over and over again, so you can understand well like these unfavorable conditions and how lucky we are to be born as a human.
Okay. Therefore today no questions. We also do short dedication. And I'm sorry I have to go early, but I give you half quality. Very hard here. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody.
Just do the dedication prayer.
Just short mandala.
Short. Thanksgiving mandala for Sri Nine.